But, so hey, what's up everybody?
Hello.
I'm retarded when my wife's near.
A little bit.
um, yeah, I know. I'm adorable as shit. I don't care. So I was gonna do one on more of the racial stuff going on, but I kind of want to break from that. I know it's gonna sound bad, but I kind of do. It's nice to have a break every now and then. So we're gonna go from one really controversial subject to another, religion. So that's I'll enjoy this one. This is something I can definitely relate to. You know, living in the South, both of us growing up down here, because you pretty much have the same views as I do, really, on just about everything for the most part. Definitely big subjects.
Yeah.
You know, in religion, neither of us believe, right?
I'm agnostic. You know.
But so you don't believe, but you're also like,
There's
I don't know. Yeah, and I'm fine with that. You know, because obviously I don't know either. I'm just more in line to not believe it.
Yeah, I'm just not, an atheist. That's kind of a scary word in the South. You go throwing that around and people think you're a devil worshiper, that kind of thing.
I ain't got no problem with it.
Agnostic is the safe word, as I like to say.
I mean, I get it, because, again, I can't definitively say yes or no. You know, so I guess you can consider technically every atheist in that aspect is really agnostic, because you can't prove or disprove it. But I guess one thing I don't think I've ever asked you, was there ever a point where you thought, like, were you...
I believe?
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. Grew up in the South, you go to church every Sunday with your parents, or, my aunt was a secretary at a church in Gradieville, South Carolina, and I participated. I was an acolyte, and I did the youth group
Acolyte?
thing.
What's that?
And everything. The acolyte in Methodist church is where you just go up and light the candles. It's different for...
Okay. Yeah, because we were Baptists, I guess, growing up, so...
Yeah. Baptist is more common in the South. We were Methodist. But, the older I got and, thinking for yourself, that kind of thing, I love science, so, I'm like things that you can touch, see, experiment with, and also...
Stuff that you can prove.
Yeah, and also, we had a lot of hardships, so, there's a point where if there's a God, why is this bad stuff happening to me? Some people are opposite. They grow closer to God in those times, and I'm just one of those people who grew away, and I feel at first it was more anger towards that entity that I believed existed, and then now it's like I set that free now that I don't believe. I can't blame it on anybody. I can't blame it on God or anything. But it's more comfortable, and I'm taking a religious class now. That's kind of what prompted us to talk about this. But
I've always enjoyed the conversation with people who don't get angry about it.
But I do love learning about the different religions, and I'll talk to him about Hinduism, how... and Buddhism. Buddhism.
That's my favorite.
Great.
That's always been one of my favorites.
It's empirical. In Buddhism, they don't believe in a God necessarily. Everybody thinks they worship Buddha. They do not. They see him kind of as Jesus Christ in Christianity.
Like just a super important figure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And there are different types of Buddhism, which they might worship him a little bit, but not so much in the entire.
The original version of it was
and
so
the
much.
whole, some people think that if you're not religious, you're a bad person or whatever, and that's not the case. At least not all the time, anyway. But with Buddhism, it's just like live your life thinking positively. There's 8 steps to that religion, enlightenment, to reach nirvana. But I mean, basically the whole thing around it is we are what you think, or we are what we think. And if you think positively and do good deeds, then you may reach enlightenment. However, that doesn't mean that bad things will happen to you.
So basically it's karma, but karma originated from Hinduism, right?
Karma's Hinduism.
Hinduism.
But Buddha
they are similar.
They believe in karma as well, but in a different sense.
In a different sense, okay. Yeah. So I guess another question I've always gotten asked, and I'm sure you have too, to at least to the ones down here that have asked about your views, have they ever asked you, well, what if you're wrong? And what, obviously if we're wrong, like, do you go to hell and does that bother you?
If you don't believe anything, you don't believe in hell, so it doesn't scare you.
I understand that. I understand that. But, like, how do you answer? So, let's say I'm a believer. Like, what happens if you're wrong? What would your answer be?
I'm going to go with the Hindu answer. You know, there's multiple steps to reach, you know, God.
Yeah.
And I may not go down your path, but I'm also living a life with good deeds, positivity. Yeah. I feel like I wouldn't go to a bad place.
That's one of the things I don't remember who I was talking to. It wasn't anyone I personally know, I don't think. But we kind of got into it. It was a pretty civil discussion, but they kind of asked me that question, like, hey, you know, if you end up being wrong, you know, do you think, you know, how do you feel? Hey, you're going to go to hell now, you know? Because that's basically it. Like, my thing is, if there's the Christian version of God, right? So if there's a Christian version of God, and I feel I live a good life. Like, I'm not out killing anything. I'm not even doing anything, like, shady either, you know, like outright lying all the time. I'm a horrible fucking liar. I can't keep a straight face to save my life.
Can confirm.
Yeah. That's why I smirk and I can't really look at her. I can't look at anybody if I talk to them. No. I can't. And she can straight face me to death, and it's aggravating as hell. But my whole thing on that was, even if you don't believe, if you live a good life and you end up being wrong, how can an all-loving, all-forgiving God say, you know, you've done well, but you never believed in me, so down to hell you go? I've always found a problem with that.
Well, that's more so along the lines of Christianity version.
That's what I'm saying, but
I don't like
that's wrong.
Yeah,
you would
that.
Yeah, like you would think, okay, you're all loving, and they say, you know, well, you don't believe in him, but he believes in you and he loves you. Okay, well, if I'm still going about, you know, a good path, in the end, shouldn't that be all that matters? In the end, if there is anything, whether it be the God or any type of deity out there, if you're good, whether you believed in any of them or not, like, hey, you know, you get a pass. You know, you went the right way without even believing in us. You know, especially the ones that say you need something to be good. Well, if you did it without it,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? You should still get a little something. You know, extra. Hell, you should be a little extra credit. You know, you were good even without the fear of all this hell and whatnot about it. That's going to piss a lot of people off, I'm sure. Because, hell yeah, I'd be extra special.
Yeah, I can see people arguing in the favor of it's not fair, because
Because it isn't. You get sent to hell even if you end up doing a good person. Because if you do good deeds, it should be all that matters in the end. You know? I'm not out killing babies. You know, none of that shit. None of that even...
You know, like, for instance, in Hinduism, you can't even spray your house against roaches. You can't kill anything.
Fuck that.
You cannot kill anyone.
Well, okay, what about Spock? If Spock kills a roach?
Are we talking about religion and pets?
I don't know, like, would that be against Hinduism? Like, having a cat that ends up eating a rodent or something?
I didn't look that far into it.
You know, like, that is a very specific question.
I'm sure they have animals, but, you know, like one of their rules is they don't eat meat. A lot of Hindus or vegetarians, they will eat eggs and stuff.
So, okay, so if we were Hindu, or is it Hindi? If it was like...
If we practice Hinduism?
If we practice Hinduism, would it be Hindi? What's that word? Anyways.
I don't know, I think that's the...
I know Hindi is a word, but I don't know at what part does it pertain to how I'm asking this question. Anyways, if we were, and we had roaches, we just end up having roaches? We have to live like that.
Yeah, for example, there was... my professor is a preacher, and I guess he said his son lived in New York for a while, and he lived in a building where a lot of Hindu people lived there, and they didn't spray the building, so, you know, they just coexisted with whatever creatures may be there. Yeah. And you know, in our society, you know, we all spray our houses and kill rats and anything that comes in for the most part, you know, except me. I always try to take anything outside for the most part. I do kill ants when I see ants, but, you know, it's hard, and that would be a hard lifestyle. You know, everything about Hinduism seems great till you're like, oh, I can't kill a spider.
Yeah, converting as an American, converting to something like that would be pretty difficult once you learn that aspect of it.
Oh, let me tell you a little story. I'm gonna ramble for a
Woo!
second. It's about killing a
Katie's
spider.
rambles.
So like I said, I try to take everything outside instead of killing it. And I used to work in a store, and you can ask everybody. I would take spiders outside, and I took a big wolf spider outside, and right as soon as I saved it, the FedEx driver ran over it, and I was sad. So, you know, would that count against me? I don't know.
You didn't kill it.
You know,
you did lead it to
that's just
doom, I
kinda funny
guess.
to me. Anyway.
So, okay, so if let's say we ended up dying, right? Whichever one of us goes first, and you're like, you get up to the gates, and obviously if you get to the gates, oh fuck, we're fucked at that point. Would you feel bad? Do you think
That I was wrong?
Yeah.
If I was wrong? I wouldn't feel bad because, you know.
But if you go to
people are
hell,
wrong
like, would
about
you end up
everything.
feeling bad?
Well, yeah, I mean, in hell. I mean, from what, you know, everybody
What
says
evidence
about
says.
hell, yeah. I mean, but there are also different versions of hell or, you know, purgatory. I would haunt the shit out of people. I'm sorry. It just sounds great. I don't know.
Hey,
I don't know.
I think that would be fun. Yeah, of course.
I believe in ghosts. That's weird. I don't believe
We
in
think
God.
we have one in the house, too.
I don't believe in God, but I believe in ghosts because I've had experiences with ghosts. Go figure.
Yeah, that's the one thing I've all so I guess I would be considered agnostic because I've always said, you know, if I end up having, you know, one of those Jesus moments or God moments, obviously, depending on how that moment ends up happening, I could, you know, because it's happened. You know, people say sometimes they have it like later in life, you know, they didn't believe it or vice versa, you know, and something happens and then, you know, start to see it. I think for me, like, I wouldn't necessarily be upset at all. If anything, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
I'd be happy for one reason alone.
There's hope.
No, because I'd be in hell.
Sure.
But my Mimo would be fine.
Mm.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
I'd be cool. You know, I'd burn in hell and cry and scream and, you know, wish I probably hadn't fucked up or anything. But I'd be like, all right, well, I'm here, but she's up there, and I'd be all right at that point.
Yeah.
That would ease the pain, I guess you could say, of ever burning hellfire. So I want to talk more about Fat Buddha because he's not fat, right?
No,
you said
he was
that.
actually, I mean,
You said he was like he sounded kind of sexy. I think you said.
In my book,
She wanted to
you
bone
should read
Buddha.
it. It's by Houston Smith. It's a comparative religion book. It's not a textbook, even though it is for my class. It's actually interesting. But they do say that Buddha was actually attractive. Now, it didn't say skinny, but, you know, back in the day, you know, if you were rich, you had enough to eat, you could have been, you know, quite plump.
On all the old stuff, it's like full-figured people.
Yeah, like normal size.
Buff
and six-packed Buddha. You know, I doubt that was the case. But, I mean, he was very thin, I'm pretty sure, because, you know, there was at one point during his journey to enlightenment where he was so skinny, he quoted that when he would press into his stomach, he felt his spine. And that's when he knew that instead of starving oneself of earthly desires and whatnot, that you take it in moderation. So he started only feeding his body what it needed.
So when he was hungry, like I do.
Yeah. And when he was super thin, he would only eat like a grain of rice a day or something crazy like that. Yeah. But the whole, you know, I know in school, the only thing I remembered about Buddha or Buddhism was, you know, it was like, oh, he was sitting under a tree and then an apple fell on it. I don't remember who told me that crap story, but it's not true. He spent years.
I thought it was like Thomas Edison?
I guess. I don't know. I thought someone said that about Buddha. I was like, what?
I don't remember that. I thought that was a gravity man.
Oh, I might be. I'm confused. I don't remember school from back in the day.
People are going to think we're dumb now.
But
we're not. We're just having brain farts right now.
Yeah, we're 30. We don't remember high school. But, yeah, it's interesting how he spent all that time. But I like everything he says is true. You can't deny that religion in some sense, you know, because he says the one rule in life is that it's full of suffering, and he's not wrong. I mean, it is. I mean, and you can change the degree of that by, you know, and following the 8 rules of Buddhism, I'm not going to get into that, but you
Why
can look
not?
it up. Because I don't remember all of
Okay.
them. Like, to the T, I can't
Yeah.
do a sermon right now.
But what are the basics?
You have to talk right, speak right,
So
cleanliness.
what do you mean by talk right and speak right?
Don't speak negatively.
Okay.
You know.
I thought you meant if somebody stutters, oh shit, you're fucked.
Yeah. No. Sorry. I meant as in like.
So with all my fucks that I routinely speak in regular conversation.
No. That I would say that's a no, like cursing. I mean, I'm just, I do curse too, but I not as often as I used to. I used to be like a sailor. I don't do it all the time.
No, man. I'm talking about
I was like, I don't do it all the time.
me.
I work professionally, so I have to
I do
kind of
too.
keep it down.
Ish.
Yeah. But yeah, I just, a lot of people don't know, I guess. I didn't know that he was Prince, and the reason...
Who?
Buddha.
He was a prince?
He was a prince. And the reason, when he went out to the world, he wasn't allowed to go out in the world because there was a prophecy that he would either become this great ruler or that he would be, this great head of religion. So his dad wanted him to be a great ruler for the country. So he refused to let him go out into the world and see the suffering and death and everything like that. So he gave him everything that he needed in the palace, but Buddha wanted to go out. And when I think he saw 3 things that led him to his path to go to his path of enlightenment, which was that he saw a sick person. He had never seen anybody sick. He had never seen a dead person, and he had never seen an old person. And when he saw the old person, like frail, that's suffering as well.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
He didn't see any of the sufferings because he had every earthly pleasure that he needed in the palace.
Very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But also, isn't it true that Buddhism don't necessarily believe in evil or bad?
They do. Yeah.
So I'm wrong there.
Yeah.
I've been saying that before. Damn it, I don't like being wrong. I love they didn't.
I mean, there are different branches of Buddhism, like Houston Smith.
So I could be right.
Yeah, like there's some that they
I think there
see
was
things
one.
differently.
And that's why I was fascinated by it, because like, how could you deny that there's bad in the world?
Like some, for example, they will worship his statues, and some don't. They don't believe in worshiping false symbols.
Yeah, because I think it was Heather said that she has somebody who works with who's Buddhist, and like gives like offerings of fruit to the Buddhist statue.
Yeah, so they would be
that branch. Because like I was like, that's not a thing.
Yeah, they're different branches.
It is a thing. Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess that makes sense because every religion has different various branches that decide to go their own route and whatnot, like Mormons.
That's the only religion I'll knock. I'm sorry.
No, you got Mormons with their
honest.
magic underwear. You got Scientologists with their
Scientology is stupid.
dumb
I'm
as
sorry.
shit. If you're listening to this and you're a
Mormon.
Scientologist, you're a fucking idiot. I don't care. and you're Mormon. Like that's what Heather was talking about. Like, hey, they just wanted polygamy and whatnot. I was like, no, it's just a horny dude who wanted multiple wives and said God told him he can have it. That was all that was. It was nothing else.
None of that religion makes
he
any
just
sense
wanted to
whatsoever.
bone multiple
I'm sorry.
women. That's it. I don't give a shit.
I don't, as people that don't believe in religion, I don't make fun of anybody for believing. I let, either of those people that are like, oh, I'm so offended when people say I'm praying for you and blah, blah, blah. Like, I
stupid.
find comfort in that because, that means they're thinking of me outside of me being in their presence.
I don't negatively or positively have anything, so I was like, whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, people at work like to play gospel music while working. It doesn't bother me.
Oh, I can listen to Gaither Vocal Band to this day. Every now and then I have Joseph's Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat going through my head.
Yeah, but
The
I mean,
Elvis version.
people found out that I wasn't religious, and they were just like, "Oh, we do this stuff around you." I'm like, I'm not gonna.
It's not. Yeah, I've never
It
been.
doesn't faze me. I'm not one of those people who is offended by every little thing.
Yeah, as long as like you don't go around
still
bashing people.
I still go to church sometimes with my family and my grandma. And I do feel I'm a crier, And whenever I feel heavy emotion, which is usually in church, because they do talk about things that you reflect internally when you're in church, whether or not you believe in anything, and it the self-reflection kind of gets to me, or things
Like
that
what?
have happened. I don't know. The last time I went with Grandma, something got to me, and it just.
What was being talked about? I'm learning about my
that
wife.
was like a year ago. I don't
With
remember.
everybody.
I don't remember, but it can evoke emotion. That's what rituals are supposed to do.
I mean, they use real life scenarios a lot of times.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I have a cousin that's a preacher. I do love to listen to his sermons because he applies his sermons to like anthropology and just about anything you can think of today. Like he'll do it to pop culture and make it real, I don't know, recent instead of just preaching from the Bible.
Yeah, reading stories from way back when.
And I mean, I like to listen to sermons sometimes, not because I believe in God, but because they have good life lessons in them.
Yeah, I'll give it that. I mean, the way I've always seen it is there was just stories to get back in the day to kind of line people up, like get them to do right, because it was a wild west back then, or wild times in general back then. You didn't really have rule of law or anything, so call it what you will. You use that, in my opinion, back then anyways. Obviously not so much now. I mean, kind of could, but it's like, hey, you better do this or this is going to happen to you.
People were more gullible, I guess I would say.
I mean, yeah, we weren't as advanced, or they weren't as advanced as we are now with everything we got going on. Because, I mean, hell, that's where you got, like, multiple gods when you go back to mythology and whatnot, too.
Oh,
it was a god of fire, god of this,
gods,
god of that, yeah.
Greek gods.
Yeah.
Which I find fascinating,
it's
don't
awesome.
get me wrong. Egyptian culture.
Mythology in general.
Love it. I'm a little rusty on Greek and Roman, but I
play
love
God
Egyptian,
of War.
anything.
I used to. I did. I have it.
But I find it fascinating that they had deities for different things, but then those deities also had deities they worshipped, and they had sons, and it was all one big thing, and that's just so interesting to me how we can be so monotheistic versus poly back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder when. So technically, we call all those mythologies, all of them from way back then.
Mm-hmm.
So if the world continues, again, how I see it continuing, with like over hundreds, if not thousands of years, religion's gonna slowly start to die out. Will it all be encompassed under mythology, potentially?
I don't know, because we've held on to a lot of different old religions since then.
Well, people have, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and tradition always gets passed down now. If there was one big apocalyptic scenario where most people
Super
are wiped
volcano,
out,
Yellowstone.
when Yellowstone erupts and most people are wiped out, there's going to be something that stays behind.
Yeah, you're going to need to find hope in something at that point.
In my head, I'm just thinking like, oh God, they're gonna find Harry Potter or something. I've always
Star
joked
Wars,
about that.
hell
like
yeah.
Star Wars.
They're gonna
they
think
thought
Star Wars was
a
real.
religion.
Hell yeah, you're gonna find like replica sabers and whatnot.
Yeah, they'll build temples. And
hell yeah. God forbid they start praising Jar Jar Binks.
Oh God.
Ugh. Or Palpatine. That'd be funny as shit. Like he was in all the movies. He must have been the god. Oh, don't do that. If you watch this 10,000 years to the future.
Galaxy Quest.
Oh, hell yeah. They beamed it up and they thought it was like all real and all.
Yeah,
that shit was hilarious though, man. God, I love it. I'm going to watch that movie.
You should watch that movie if you've never seen it. It's great.
Yeah, Galaxy Quest. Really good. It's got a Snape. Alan Rickman. Yep. Cool as shit, as always. Anything else? No. I kind of forced her to do this.
Yeah.
But you did agree because you do the whole religious studies and it's always fun for me. And it's more likely to be like part 1 of however many parts because I got some other people who want to join in at some point and talk. And it's going to be even funner at that point because those are going to be people who believe. And they're down for it. I'm like, all right. If you want to go that route, let's do it. I'm going to be nice though. I'm going to try and be nice. I'll be nice.
That's hard for you.
No, it's not. As long as they can stay nice. Because I'm not going to, like, try and make them out to be wrong as long as they don't do me like that as well.
Yeah.
Which, being Heather, I don't see her going that route. I mean, we've been friends forever, so I don't see that being the case.
Okay.
You're shaking. You want to leave?
No, that's just my
She's
anxiety.
nervous. She doesn't want to be here.
Anxiety leg shake.
Yeah, because you don't want to be here.
Like the video if you have an anxiety leg shake.
Yeah. If that gives me some likes, I'll be cool with it. You know. So, want to sign off?
Bye.